Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Spinning the Breeze. I am your friendly neighborhood soda man, joined by Ben Bigfoot Drainer, and as always, by the Kiwi from New Zealand, Jess. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
How are you doing, Ben?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're gonna have some fun with this episode tonight because we are on probably one of the most ridiculed superhero movies of all time.
Okay, can I say this isn't a bad of the trilogy, but I think I had the most fun watching it,
Me too.
especially watching it with you guys, because, oh my god, there are some great snaps in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at its core, there's a really, really great story there. I just think that it got too bloated and too many things got added to it.
So we're talking Spider-Man 3. That's the one we were talking about today. Hi Taco. Hi. I like how we both sounded so enthused. Hi Taco. No, this is the
He
third
knows we
movie.
love him, really.
This is the third movie in the Sam Raimi trilogy with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. This came out in 2007. It cost
50?
50. Come join if you want. But yes, no, it had a budget of $258 to $350 million, and it grossed $894.9 million. It's pretty big. That's pretty big numbers.
Yeah.
One thing you can't say about these movies is they made money.
For sure. And it seemed, if I'm not mistaken, like everyone just kept making more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this movie is something, because there have parts of it that are great and parts of it that are like, why is this even in here?
No, but it's great because it's such a full-on ride. Like you get the slow build-up, and then once it starts, like it really starts, it doesn't let up. You swap in, you get the Green Goblin, and then he gets taken out, and then they bring in Sandman, and he gets taken out, and then they bring in Venom, and they take him out, and then they bring back Green Goblin. It's just like they want to put everything in there all at once.
Yeah, well, that's basically what it came down to, because it came out that the execs wanted Venom in there, so that's how he ended up in there. And Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire actually were both trying to get Sandman to be a primary villain, and of course, then you had to have the Green Goblin to pay off that storyline. So they kind of painted themselves into a corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was unnecessary. I think if you look at the Sandman story, it's so beautifully crafted.
And it's very grounded.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of the day, you could tell they put a lot of thought into the Sandman story, and then Venom, as a result, feels real shoehorned in. And who knows, the Green Goblin through storyline could have worked if it didn't have everything else going on.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of would have worked. It could have worked hand in hand with the Sandman, because it would be a story about forgiveness.
Yeah.
Right. So, a year after Otto Octavius's demise, Peter Parker plans to propose to Mary Jane Watson.
Big mistake.
I don't know who has less chemistry, Peter and Mary Jane or Anakin and Padme.
I actually would give it to these two, because they can see that they're actually trying to act, whereas Anakin and Padme are very wooden.
Yeah, the moment that Mary Jane, because I even brought this up to you guys because we were watching it as a group, and she hugs him and she pats him on the back. I'm like, if any woman ever pats you on the back when you're hugging her, she's not interested in you. Like, it's like a there type of thing. It's not a like, oh, I really want to be with you kind of hug. So just the chemistry doesn't work on any level.
Well, let me honest here. It's a friend zone tap. You get that tap and you're in a friend zone.
Yep. Yeah, but she keeps saying, I love you. I think it honestly, at this point, feels like a control thing, that she uses the whole I love you thing just so she can keep him under her thumb. Because in the second film, she kept going, say you love me, while she's freaking engaged. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing, is like, and I do think she was kind of wronged, obviously,
Fucking
God,
hell.
Here's the thing is, like, MJ does get a bit of a bad run because obviously at the, I don't know what it is, a parade for Spider-Man. I don't know what it is, but the whatever they do for Spider-Man, and he hangs upside down and kisses her, kisses, Gwen in front of MJ. I'm sorry, but you're planning on proposing to this woman and you kiss another woman in front of her. And as she points out, in the same way that they had their first kiss. Yeah, but it's also a really intimate moment that her and Spider-Man shared that no one else did until that moment. And now she's like, cool. He's just and he suggested it. It wasn't like she kissed him, and it was one of those, she doesn't realize, that he's got a, girlfriend. He says, plant one on me.
I mean,
Spider-Man's a dick.
None of the characters are really likable in this, except for Aunt May, really.
She's always a treasure.
Well, okay, I have one likable character. This account Alfred? I think he's awesome.
You mean the butler plot device?
Yeah, the one that's all, I've waited 2 movies to tell you that your father really did, love you, and he wasn't killed by Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's just like, how long was he back in this movie? Like, he could have told him any time here.
Okay, how about this character? The Maple Leaf played by
Yes, one of the best parts. One of the best parts of the whole film.
I'd say out of the 3, this is my favorite. Bruce.
The amount of times he comes out with the bucket of of ice with the champagne, and then he turns them around. It's like, go back. And then in the end, she storms out, and he still tells them to bring it out, and they set it up for him. And I'm like, she's walked off. Do you think this has gone well enough that he can propose? I feel like he was doing it to troll Peter Parker. He was like, didn't go well. Let's just take it out there. Remind him of how much he's failed.
Yeah. Peter Parker plans to propose to Mary Jane Watson, who has just made her Broadway musical debut. Well, the two
it's bothersome that she gets taken down after one preview. She gets told, she gets fired. They don't try and workshop it again to try and make your character work. They've gone through, because let's be honest, the musical theater, industry isn't that they just get in whoever off the street. It's months of rehearsals, and even then you've got auditions before that. Are you telling me that she was the most talented out of the bunch and no one else thought that she was good?
They might have had what do you call them?
Plot device?
Not love goggles, but love ears, maybe? Is that possible?
Well, here's the thing. Kirsten Dunst actually is a good singer. It's just I don't think she does the sultry singing that well.
Yeah, but they could have at least made it more believable. It's like she does one, like she's had all the costumes fitted for her. She'd be on all the playbills, and then after one bad review, they're like, you can leave. You just take your stuff and go. And
then they don't even have the balls to tell her.
Yeah, no, but it's all, the MJ has to have something to complain about in this film.
While the two stargaze in Central Park, a meteorite lands nearby, and an extraterrestrial symbiote follows Peter to his apartment by attaching to his moped. Harry Osborn, knowing Peter's true identity, seeks to avenge his father Norman's death. Using his father's performance-enhancing gas and Green Goblin technology, he battles Peter to a stalemate, hitting his head and developing partial amnesia.
That scene with him in the hospital, though.
So drugged out.
Yeah, he is.
I haven't met fans.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, James Franco might be the best part of this film because he just has the wildest character. Because he goes from being this, vengeful to going into being, pretty much a bit of a wombat, doesn't quite know what's going on, and then he just suddenly gets all of his memories back, and he's this mustache twirling villain that eats pie and goes, so good. The way he says "so good" is so weird because it's got all these different. There's like a slightly sexual layer to it. I'm like, what is happening? It's so odd.
And then the fucking
wink.
Yeah, when he turns around and it'd have been so funny if he turned around and Peter had already left. He's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Fine.
fuck. but in this hospital scene, it's like he might have forgotten which movie he was filming because he was also doing Pineapple Express at the same time.
You know, that thing explains a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
I like sorry, I'm going to interrupt you one more time. I love the fact that they have that scene. It's so poorly CGI'd. It just looks like jelly people fighting each other. Hello, streaming from work. Can you hear us?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he puts his web across and clotheslines the goblin, and then he's surprised when he's hurt, and I'm like, you're like 5 stories up and you clothesline the dude and you think he's gonna be chill about it?
Oh, like I said, in the heat of the moment, you're not really thinking about that. You're just thinking about.
I haven't ever in the heat of the moment tried to kill one of my best friends, no matter how much.
We also haven't been in the heat of the moment fighting in midair with gliders and webs and.
No, I still think that like it's a ridiculous excuse that like there's one thing, it's unintentionally hurting someone, but it's a totally other thing for it to be like, I'm going to do something that is going to take you out of the running completely. Like there's no way that he could have hit that web and been fine. Peter Parker's risk assessment level when he's emotional is really bad.
Definitely not.
What did you guys think of his goblin look?
I liked it. It felt like an extreme sport version of Green Goblin.
Something right out of the 1990s.
Peter Killer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even at this time, that was still pretty big.
When was this? 07?
Yeah.
Nitro Circus and all that stuff. Yeah, Jackass. Where was I? Meanwhile, police pursue escaped convict Flint Marko, who visits his wife and sick daughter before fleeing again, falling into an experimental particle accelerator that fuses his body with the surrounding sand. He gains the ability to control sand and reform his body with it.
That scene is so good. It still holds up today. It's so good, and it's so tragic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the incredible disappearing 50. Now you see him, now you don't.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's
like a lot of characters in this movie. Now you see him, he's gone.
The whole scene of him, and then he's got the locket and he's trying to grab it. And I'm like, ooh, it's so, and you can see that Sam Raimi really had a vision for where he wanted this character arc to go, and it would have been brilliant. And then they put all the Venom stuff in there. And then we've got this weird jazz club scene where we've got hip thrusting from Peter Parker of all people. No one wants to see that. No one went, look, Spider-Man 1 and 2, good. Didn't see any hip thrusting from Peter, though.
Yeah.
Like, who in the... Yeah, the music is great in that scene. I will absolutely chat. But it is fun. If you took 2 stories and moved them away from each other, you could have had a real campy Batman and Robin-esque Spider-Man film, and then had a really good Sandman versus Spider-Man film. They're great elements on their own, but move them away from each other.
Yeah.
It's just a mess, but I really say this. I have more fun watching this movie. I'm dreading watching another Spider-Man movie we have coming up.
Is it a second one of a certain franchise?
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone goes on about Spider-Man 3, but I think people probably haven't gone back and rewatched it because it's actually kind of fun. If you don't go into it expecting the best superhero film you've ever seen, it's actually a lot of fun.
I think it's fun if you watch it with a group of friends like we did.
We had fun watching it.
Oh yeah,
so much fun.
It was a blast. We might have to do that for that second one too, because.
How about we just do it for the series, for the rest of them?
I like it.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Because I have the means, so we could do it.
Perfect.
Okay then. During a festival honoring Spider-Man for saving Gwen Stacy's life, Peter kisses her to please the crowd, angering Mary Jane, because duh.
No one in the crowd was asking for it, so he's just done it.
Photo op. That's
No, I'm
that's
sorry.
all.
I'm sorry. If my boyfriend kissed a female and went, "Oh, it's for a photo op," I would not be like, "Oh, sorry, silly me. I thought we were monogamous, but that's fine."
I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that was.
I'm just saying it's just so stupid.
But
She's
you're
right there.
forgetting the best part of the scene. When
There you
Harry
go.
Osborn, when Harry
Yeah.
shows up, eating cotton candy next to Mary Jane.
Yeah.
He is not playing the moves on him in front of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about that because there's another number standard going on right here, I think. There's a mixed signals.
Oh, that's the kind of relationship they have, apparently.
Oh, they've had it from the get-go, let's be honest.
Yeah, to bring this back up from Nerd Chronic. Yeah, I agree. Like that's how I look at all these comic book movies. It's just like it's its own Elseworlds type stuff, right?
Well, until we get into multiverse, and then everything becomes part of the MCU, apparently.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, Marco robs an armored truck and escapes after easily defeating Spider-Man. New York NYPD Captain George Stacy, Gwen's father, informs Peter and his Aunt May that Marco is Peter's Uncle Ben's true killer, the initial suspect. The deceased identity.
Time out. Yeah. They need to be brought up.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
They didn't need it.
You can't enjoy a story you already have just because you need something to make sense. It doesn't work. That's one of the reasons why I have issues with a TV show that did the same thing, but I'm not getting into that. You can't enjoy a story at any time. You just can't.
No. It's the stupidest. They're like, oh, let's shoehorn in. Wait, it wasn't one killer, it was two. It's not Scream. We don't need to do that, okay? Like, come on. We don't need a third movie twist about Uncle Ben. Although, yeah, it's always good seeing Tobey Maguire's cry face. It's fun.
Oh, yeah. One of the best ugly crying. And I emphasis on the ugly.
Oh man, you can't help but laugh, and it just undercuts any any emotional thing. Like when they've got Green Goblin and they're looking out at the horizon as he slowly dies, and you just got Toby's face. I'm like, I can't.
That's the one that's immortalized in meme form.
But to be fair, he also did that in the first one in Uncle Midnight.
That's true. And I mean,
I still find it hilarious in the first one. Sad scene, but I'm still like,
yeah, hard to take seriously. Exactly, it's hard to take seriously.
Ben's got it down.
Yeah. Ben, have you been practicing this in the mirror?
Maybe.
There we go.
That's what you do to occupy your day.
Exactly. So not you.
At his apartment, Peter sleeps in his Spider-Man suit while waiting for Marco to come out of hiding. The symbiote, a liquid creature, flows over the suit as he sleeps. Peter later awakens on the side of a building, discovering that the symbiote has colored his suit black and enhanced his powers.
Okay, however, can I just say?
Sure.
The look looks awesome.
Right on. You're right. The only thing I wish they had changed was the logo itself should have been white. They didn't do that.
You don't need a white one.
I mean, for me, I just would have liked it to pop a little more. It just kind of blends in. Otherwise, just to me, it does look cool, but that's the one little thing I changed.
Okay, yeah, fine.
However, it also brings out a darker side of his personality, amplifying his rage and already inflated ego. Spider-Man locates and battles Marco in a subway tunnel. Discovering that water is Marco's weakness, he opens a pipe, releasing water that reduces Marco to mud and washes him away. Peter's changed comportment alienates Mary Jane, who is struggling in her career because of her show receiving negative reviews from critics. She shares a tender moment with Harry, but leaves him regret. Urged by
this is my problem with her. Is she doesn't ring Peter, she rings Harry. And like that scene where they're dancing into the twist in Harry's kitchen, they have so much more chemistry.
Yeah,
like they make sense. I'm like, I get it. I get why they'd be together. Like, why did we not just sideline MJ, put her together with Harry, and then bring on Gwen? Because they genuinely, when she comes up to him in the restaurant when he's going to propose and she's talking to him, they feel a lot more emotionally connected than him and MJ do. MJ and him might live in different countries.
That's because Gwen Stacy's their character. Sorry. I'm a Gwen Stacy shill. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. You're allowed to be.
You know, like MJ in the MCU, I like her.
Oh, yeah, MCU, but I'm just saying, like, if I'm looking at both characters, like, just in general, I prefer Gwen Stacy as the love interest to Peter. But I do love MJ in the MCU.
I really think that I love Emma Stone as Gwen. And
yes, we will definitely be getting into that because they have chemistry. Like they have chemistry.
They're dating in real life. They were.
Yeah, but they
got together after that movie.
One of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but like, I mean, with them, like, you, from the first moment you see them on screen together, you can feel it.
Yeah, but they're both. And like, look, I'm not saying that everyone in this film is bad, but I don't I haven't really warmed to Tobey Maguire's acting.
Me neither.
He's there for me. Yeah. I'm like, oh, he's here. I don't hate him. I'm just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, every time
we're gonna clip that out and make it a GIF.
Yeah, perfect.
I love to be immortalized on the internet.
Well, we're on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, anyone could immortalize any part of this. So
yeah. Urged by a hallucination. Urged by a hallucination of his father. There we go. Harry recovers from his amnesia and forces Mary Jane to break up with Peter by threatening to kill her. After Mary Jane tells Peter she loves somebody else, Harry meets with Peter and claims to be that person. Urged under the influence of the symbiote, Peter later confronts Harry over this, and after a brief fight, spitefully tells him that his father never loved him. Another battle.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on.
That was done to hurt. But that scene in the cafe is probably my favorite, like, acting scene in the movie.
But you have to admit, one of the best gifts from this movie comes from that fight.
Gonna cry. Oh, yes. Is it on this one?
I hope so.
No, but
is 50 watching? But yeah, I love that scene, especially when he's all, I'm the other guy, and he's just it's just so
he so
James Franco chews the scenery
for sure
completely. It's great.
It works.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cry.
That's the one. Sorry, 50.
It's all right. He's fine. I'm sure. He's definitely not having flashbacks.
Yeah. Another battle ensues with Harry throwing a pumpkin bomb at Peter, who deflects it back, disfiguring Harry's face. At the Daily Bugle, Peter exposes rival photographer Eddie Brock, whose fake photos depict Spider-Man as a criminal. Publisher J. Jonah Jameson fires Brock and promotes Peter to staff photographer. Later, Peter brings Gwen to a jazz club where Mary Jane now works. Peter interrupts Mary Jane's performance, and he passionately dances with Gwen in front of her in order to make her jealous.
So dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They had to write it and film it and then edit it and go, yeah, this deserves to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's such a fun scene, but why?
We need to talk about this scene. It's so beautifully not right for this movie. But at the same time, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It fits, but it doesn't fit.
It's just awkward. It's the snapping. It's the gets on the chair and slides halfway across the jazz club. It's the, now dig on this. You know, it's so bizarre.
When did Peter learn how to play the piano?
It's Venom. It's Venom doing it.
Yeah.
Venom knows how to play the piano. He cooks a really good breakfast too. So, stranger things have happened.
And he had a good taste in tater tots and chocolate.
Exactly.
Tater tots. Gwen, realizing this, apologizes to Mary Jane and leaves.
That was genuine. She genuinely felt so bad, and it just speaks to how sweet of a character Gwen is, that she genuinely thinks it's awful that she was complicit in making Mary Jane upset. Yep. Let's put Pokemon in the MCU, see what happens.
It's true.
It is a good kind of
bad. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would watch it again. Absolutely. And I said it, I think, even in our first review of the first Spider-Man film, that I really like this one.
I had fun watching it, and I am on that side now.
You took it my way.
It's like Batman and Robin. Awful movie. Awful.
But so much fun to revisit.
Yeah, that's true. Although I would probably revisit this one more if I'm being. Oh no, that's actually not true because I did watch the Batman and Robin more, so that's a lie.
You forget what Batman and Robin have that this doesn't have.
Uma Thurman?
The Terminator.
That's true.
Nice to see you.
Why you?
So good. But they fully leaned into the campiness. It's why I say that it feels like there's two different films at play in this. Because you've got this super campiness of the jazz club scene.
Yeah.
But then you've got all the complexity and sincerity and the Sandman storyline. It just feels so muddled.
Yeah.
It's okay, Ben. No need to cry.
Just as long as it's like Tobey Maguire, though.
Yeah.
I can do that.
That's my new favorite thing.
Yeah, one more time, Ben. After assaulting the
I'm here all week.
Yep. Love having you.
And
Terminator, that's great. It's fucking great.
After assaulting the bouncers and accidentally hitting Mary Jane, Peter
was a rough scene.
Yes.
And here's the thing, and then they're just like, but it's the suit, and I'm like, it's still pretty bad because it's still fueled by his underlying desires for violence and revenge and all that.
After assaulting the bouncers and accidentally hitting Mary Jane, Peter finally realizes that the symbiote is corrupting him. Retreating to a church's bell tower and realizing the high-pitched sounds of clanging metal weaken the creature, Peter removes the symbiote. However, Brock follows him and becomes the symbiote.
He just so happens to be praying in a church that his God will kill someone. He's like, I want you to kill Peter Parker. And I'm like, who goes to a church and is like, yo, God.
Someone was listening and it wasn't God.
It's so the lengths they had to go to put them in the same vicinity so that Venom could latch onto Eddie Brock. They could have just reached a little bit further to do something that made some kind of logical sense. What's the chances that they'd both be in the same church?
I know who is listening. It's so obvious. It was.
Yeah, Mephisto. Of course it was Mephisto.
Yeah. Mephisto was actually walking in the background. He's the priest that disappears as Eddie Brock sits down to pray.
Mephisto even in the butler. That's why he didn't kill him until this movie.
Maybe. Having deduced that Peter is in fact Spider-Man, Brock locates a still living Marco and convinces him to join forces to kill Spider-Man.
How did he see? From the bottom of that bell tower? He's like, yep, that looks like Peter Parker. Come on. Come on, can anyone tell me that that's definitely how eyesight works? Because I wear contact lenses, so maybe normal human eyes can see that high up, but I can't. To be able to, without any shred of a doubt, identify someone from that far down.
Yeah.
To be fair, he knows what Peter looks like.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, he's pulling off the Venom suit, and he's not like looking over the bell tower, drop, going, "Hello, this is Peter Parker." He's like standing up, trying to rip off the suit, genuinely looking up and clawing at his neck. And you're telling me Eddie Brock's like, that looks like Peter Parker's face from below? Yeah.
Well, he knows what it sounds like.
He's just screaming. I could not identify any of my friends from literally just like their scream. If I was in a random place and I heard someone screaming, I would be like, "Oh, I know who that is." Yeah, okay, that sounds like it's weird.
Yeah, I don't think I can either.
Okay, fair point.
Sorry, I'm a cynic. I just the leaps and bounds.
Fair point.
Logic. It's so grounded in some ways and so dumb in other ways. It's so good.
Yeah.
Brock abducts Mary Jane and holds her captive in a web high at a construction site. While Marco
how original. How original.
Yeah. What is it with them in heights? Like, to be honest, he's a spider. Why are you taking them upwards? It's not like you've got any advantage by, like, staging your fight. And I get that he's Venom, but you've got to think Spider-Man's been in the... You don't know how well Spider-Man fights unless you've gone toe-to-toe with him.
Mm.
So why take him to an area that he's most comfortable in?
I don't know.
Reasons.
Yeah.
Plot reasons.
Yep.
Because the plot has to happen, Jess. The plot has to happen.
After Harry refuses to help Peter, he finally learns the truth about Norman's death from his butler, who encourages him to go and help the pair. Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, cool, okay. Wanted to kill him, but this is good. I'm going back in."
Peter, remembering the symbiote's weakness, assembles a perimeter of metal pipes to create a sonic attack, weakening it and allowing Peter to separate Brock from the symbiote. Peter activates a pumpkin bomb from Harry's glider and throws it at the symbiote.
I think we skipped something.
Yeah, I feel like we just skipped right to the end.
You didn't say Harry showed up.
Yeah, encourages him to go and help the pair. While Brock and Marco pin Peter down, Harry arrives with the Green Goblin technology to help Peter and save Mary Jane. Thereafter, Brock attempts to perforate Peter with Harry's glider, but Harry jumps in and is impaled himself. Peter, remembering the symbiote's weakness, assembles a perimeter of metal pipes to create a sonic attack, weakening it and allowing Peter to separate Brock from the symbiote. Peter activates a pumpkin bomb from Harry's glider and throws it at the symbiote. Brock, having become addicted to its influence, attempts to save it and ends up vaporized along with it. Afterward, Marco explains that Ben's death was an accident that has haunted him ever since, justifying that all his robberies were intended to collect enough money to pay for his daughter's surgery.
Yeah, so why couldn't he just be a bank robber that needs to be stopped by Spider-Man, but he's trying to do it to save his daughter? Do we need the Uncle Ben stuff?
No, we don't need it. We don't need it, man. We don't need it. That's not a simple answer.
Yeah, we did. Peter forgives Marco, allowing him to escape. Harry and Peter reconcile before the former dies from his injuries. Sometime after Harry's funeral, Peter visits...
And then we get Tobey Maguire's crying face.
Yeah.
And it's so horrible because you've got Kirsten Dunst that's giving probably one of the most genuine performances of the whole film.
Yeah.
Where she's crying and you can feel it. And then they cut to Tobey freaking Maguire's dumb face.
He can't he cannot act his way out of a paper bag.
He just looks like a Muppet. He looks like Beaker from the Muppets.
Ooh, that's an insult to Beaker.
Yeah, that's true. I would like to see a Spider-Man film with Kirsten Dunst and Beaker as Spider-Man. Right? Could you imagine him swinging through the air? Me, me, me. me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Come on, Hollywood, make it happen.
Yeah.
Make a Jess happy. Come on.
Take my money now.
Yeah.
Disney, do it. Sometime after the funeral, Peter visits Mary Jane at the jazz club where she works. They embrace and share a dance and credits.
Yeah. Ooh, it's all left up to mystery. Do they? Don't they?
Yeah.
Do we give a fuck? No.
No,
No.
we never got a fourth one.
Who was like, gosh, I really hope they end up together? No one. No one cared.
To be honest, I would have loved to see a fourth one, only because it was rumored that John Malkovich was going to be Vulture.
Which would have been pretty cool.
Oh, but we got a
Yeah,
really great Vulture later on.
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
Like-
yeah. Okay, hot take, spoiler alert, hot take. Michael Keaton's Vulture, best Spider-Man villain in the movie, in my opinion.
And she could
Wouldn't
actually,
argue.
yeah.
Wouldn't argue. Definitely wouldn't argue. Like, I mean, some of the scenes, like, I know we're going to be getting into it in a couple weeks, but like that scene in the car at the dance where he reveals that he knows who he is, it's just like, my God.
That's why you get Michael fucking Keaton to me in a comic book movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
and like it's such a good grounded character too.
Because he has the right motivations.
Mm-hmm. And I think, but here's the thing: is to Spider-Man. Like now that we've finished the whole trilogy, to its credit, the only reason why we look at it with such a critical lens is because we've had so much growth in superhero films. Like you have to admit that when it came out at the time, and for quite a few years, it was probably one of. I would never say, especially not the second one, is the best superhero film ever. But when it came out, and for quite a few years after that, I don't think anything could top it. But the MCU has only come out stronger and stronger with their releases, and it's kind of made people go back and go,
yeah, they're not.
Okay. On that note, my top 3 superhero movies, I don't think are any MCU movies.
yes,
I
and
agree.
all Muppets, yeah.
I agree.
And I'm trying to think.
Well, yeah, okay. Endgame. I love Endgame that much that it's.
But is it really in top 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Remember, this is favorite, right? And for me, it's a great one. Like this is because to me that is the living embodiment of a comic book movie. So yeah, I've got one in there.
Okay, that's fair. My top 3 are Logan, Batman Begins, and Superman the movie.
Nice.
I gotta put the Dark Knight in there. I love the Dark Knight.
Yeah, I'm actually with Ben. I'm more of a Batman Begins guy.
Yeah, and for me, it just edges out Batman Begins, and it's just because I love Heath Ledger's Joker so much, so much. Like he's so brilliant in it, and that's the reason why it beats out Batman Begins for me.
I also
put Logan in there as well too. Actually,
yeah.
Well, Logan is my number 1.
Yeah, brilliant superhero.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. My number 1 is definitely Endgame.
Endgame's not even on my top 3 MCU projects. To be honest,
Infinity War is like number 4.
Interesting. No, mine's Thor Ragnarok, WandaVision, Shang-Chi. Love it.
There would be a good topic for Get Ready.
Ooh.
Top 5 superhero movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. We're just plugging other shows.
We just cross the streams.
Yeah, well, why not?
I mean, what did both of you guys think of, like, now that we've finished the trilogy, what do you think of it? Where does it rate for you?
Okay, so I was looking through it of like, oh my God, I don't remember it being this bad. So a lot of it doesn't hold up for me. Like I did have a lot of fun watching 3. I think the action sequences in 2 hold up, and there's a few things in 1, but overall, I don't think it holds up as like top tier trilogy.
Right now is my second favorite Spider-Man trilogy. Spider-Man. I know there are only 2 amazing Spider-Man movies, but that's my number 3. This trilogy is my number 2, and the MCU ones are my number 1.
Yeah, I think most people would feel that way.
Yeah. How about you?
They finally got Peter Parker right.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom Holland, he's only second to Miles Morales for me. And that's because Into the Spider-Verse is so good.
Yeah.
So good. But I like, here's the thing is I like the Spider-Man films for what they were at the time.
Agreed.
I don't
used to
like
rewatch
look
them
at it. Yeah, I don't look at it with the lens that I have now, because if I
Yeah.
did, I'd probably rate it a lot lower. But I think
Yeah.
for when it came out, it still holds up in some ways. I think the script could have had a lot more going on, you know, in terms of like good lines, and not, oh boy, yes, and it's so good.
I can't wait to talk. I can't wait to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Me too.
And
that's where we're going to end it. Just skip.
Yes. We're going to be
skip to MCU.
continuing this journey. We're going to be talking the Amazing Spider-Man 1, which I, for a long time, actually was my favorite Spider-Man movie.
Really?
Really?
I can't wait to talk about it.
Up until the MCU.
What did Brian say?
Number 2 superhero movie. It's respectful. Like I said, the action scenes still hold up. I would put them up there with anything in the MCU. But
Days of Future Past is great as well.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah,
for sure. Had so much fun with that.
There are so many X-Men movies. I can't wait to do that franchise. That's what we have to do.
Yeah,
Sure.
I like your picks, Taco.
Yeah, all great movies. Watchmen is the only one in that I haven't watched in a really long time. I do own the director's cut.
But you have seen it though, right?
I saw it in theaters for sure.
I never saw it.
I think I've seen it once since.
At all? I never saw it.
Wow. Okay, I know what we're doing.
Yeah. But yeah, so next week we will be doing The Amazing Spider-Man, which has Andrew Garfield in the role of Peter Parker and Emma Stone is Gwen Stacy. Like I said, I've always preferred Gwen Stacy as a love interest for Peter Parker because it feels like an actual relationship, as we're what we were just getting with Mary Jane and Peter. No.
Yeah, but that's down to character issues and not necessarily how she's written, not necessarily character.
Even in comic books, I
didn't know that.
Yeah, so no, I prefer like all like across the board. I'm a Gwen Stacy guy over Mary Jane.
There is one thing I love in the trilogy, and that is the Elfman score.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
You can't argue about that.
That music.
Don't you shooting the comedian?
Yeah, that's the scene in which the Sandman changes and with the lock and everything. The music in that is beautiful. I even said to you guys when we were watching it, I was like, "Gosh, the score is so pretty."
Yeah, his Spider-Man score kind of gets forgotten about when you compare it against obviously like Batman and Nightmare Before Christmas and
Edward Scissorhands and all those other ones.
Ed Wood, and his Oingo Boingo stuff.
Someone else.
All right, so when we're at the end of the episode, so Jess, where can everybody find you?
So tomorrow you can find me over on the Let's Get Ready Network to talk about Spectacular. And then the next day, so Saturday for you guys, I will be on Speaking of Schmodown talking about Spectacular yet again and championing my Finstock exchange because I'm fully leaned into being a shill. You can't change that. I'm done. I've just accepted it.
Embrace it.
Yeah. It is my destiny.
It is
absolute power.
And Big Fudge, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at man_radio on Twitter. Every Tuesday on Shooting the Breeze. Every Saturday, Get Ready on Mount Schmodown. Every Monday on Recapping the Past. You can find me tomorrow night right here on this channel on a preview special for the Spectacular. I'm doing some kind of watch along on Saturday for the Spectacular. Gotta talk about that.
Yeah.
Also, I'm on Let's Get Ready Saturday night for the Spectacular.
It's going to be the channel crossover, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the Schmodown shared universe, I guess, right?
Pretty much.
Love it.
And as for myself, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. I'm only doing the tomorrow night's preview on this channel for the Spectacular because it also happens to fall on a day that is my Christmas staff party. So, So I will not be doing anything else for some next.
Come on, Soda. What are your priorities, man? Why would you go out and socialize with real human people when you can sit with us in a virtual room and watch Schmodown, okay?
Because I don't have to put on pants. I can sit in shorts.
I know.
Anyway.
2 points for.
So yeah, so that's where you can find me. So everybody have yourselves a good evening. We will see you next week on spinning the web. So long. Stay sweaty.